David, first and foremost, is how's Anthony feeling, and is he gonna play tonight?
No, he'll be out tonight.
Is there any other lineup changes you can let us in on?
Uh, don't know what our lineup might look like. We had a couple potential injuries that may alter the lineup. We'll know after warmups, unfortunately.
Sounds like you go through it. And then goalie. Before I get into some other stuff, I guess to go through the whole lines.
Yeah, it'll be Blackwood.
All righty. So in terms of how do you guys respond to that loss against Vegas? Obviously, you guys are going up against a young team who's played well. How do you approach a young firepower team like this?
Well, listen, I mean, we're so consumed with what we're doing and how we're going about our business. And, I'm not shocked at all that they've had this big uptick in their play. They've got young, talented players there with a hell of a coach. So, I've known Greg a long time. I'm not surprised they're having the success they have, but we can't worry about what Anaheim's doing. We've got to make sure we take care of our side of the street because, after some good things going on against Philly and Edmonton, I thought we took a little bit of a step back. Obviously, playing 3-4, such an emotional week for us. When the season starts, I'm sure people look at our schedule, so that might be a tough game. And certainly that one was one that you may kind of jump out at you when you're playing 3-4 and going into Vegas against the defending Stanley Cup champions, and especially after they had two losses. So, we were hanging around, but I really thought that we did from the get-go, we weren't playing with any pace or any tempo.
How do you feel Fabian Zetterlund is adjusted from when he's first was arrived here to where he is now? It just looks like he took a huge step.
Completely different player. I mean, and I touched on this last year, when you get traded for the first time, it can wear on you. And, you could see the abilities last year. It just was one of those years where, he gets traded and it was a war on him. And, for him to come back with the mentality and embracing his opportunity here, I'm really happy for him. He's a great kid and he works hard, and, it's been fun to watch.
Thank you.
Hey, David, you mentioned in the last game that a big problem was killing plays. Is that a lot of that? Is that the legs, back to back, or what is that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was, when your whole team looks the way we did, that usually is an indicator that maybe, it was losing a little bit of the legs and just being a little tired. And, one of the things we talked about after the first period as athletes, you can't use that as an excuse. I mean, I can understand getting tired as the game goes on, but you should have energy and ready to go when the puck drops, which was the only disappointing part from my end of it.
And with Anthony, is he getting better? And are you hopeful that he'll be ready by Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't much better yesterday, so hopefully he's feeling better today.
Okay. And you mentioned that you're not really right now watching the other team so much and that sort of thing. But I wonder, what is your impression of Leo Carlsson? He's come in here, 18 years old, and he's been very impressive.
Well, we watched him at the World Championships, and he was going to be a really good player. And there's a reason he got drafted so high, and with that size and skill set, I mean, you had a chance to step in and make an impact, and he certainly has done that.
And just from your experience, you've had 18-year-old players come in and try to navigate their way through the NHL. Can you speak to some of the challenges that of course you're not there in Anaheim, but that Leo might face, or that sort of thing?
Well, I think, games 40 and 50, he'll start really feeling the grind of the National Hockey League. But it's not an easy league to play in at 18, no matter how much talent you have. I mean, it's a man's league, and your body certainly isn't, up to snuff with what most players in this league are. And sometimes talent can get you through it, but it's the rare player that can go start to finish in this league and have an impact. But he certainly is off to a great start.
It's kind of wild to see three teenagers like Bedard, Fantilli, and Carlson just come on so strong so early.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to, the level of play throughout the world, especially young players being able to come into this league and make an impact. It's happening more and more. So, I mean, obviously these three guys were highly touted going into the draft.
And finally, just wondering what you guys did for the dad trip yesterday. Had an off day yesterday. I imagine you spent a nice day in LA. All the players and their dads.
Yeah, they got to spend some time, watching football. They had a great dinner together last night. It's just, it's really special when you have the fathers on a trip.
All right. Thank you, David.
Yep.
David, I think tonight's game is the first in over 20 years that Dan Ruzanowski hasn't called it on the radio side here. I know you guys haven't worked together real long time, but what did you think? What did you first think when you heard that Dan was going to be recognized with the Foster Hewitt Award?
Well, I've known Dan from afar. We had never met, but just knew him from afar, and loved listening to him. And when you get to know him as a person, there's no one who loves hockey more than him. He's got such knowledge of the game. He's got such a passion for the game. He's an incredible human being. The first thing I thought of is, why did it take so long? And I'm sure he's disappointed he's missing the game tonight, but I'm sure he's really excited about where he's at today, as we all are here within our organization.
When you look at the ages of both teams, Anaheim is I think the 5th youngest team. The Sharks are at the 10th or 11th youngest team. Is there a parallel to be drawn as far as where both teams are at as organization right now, just in terms of their rebuild? And do you think Sharks fans could look at Anaheim and say maybe that's the pattern we go through here over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think we're in similar spots. I think maybe they jumped it a little bit earlier than we did, so they might be a little bit I don't want to say ahead of the curve, but they altered their approach sooner than we did. So, but they've done a heck of a job drafting. They got a solid organization. Like I said, they've got a really good coach who's doing a really good job with the young players and the veterans as well.
Cronin's a pretty intense guy. Is that fair to say? How long have you known him for?
I've known him for over 30 years, and I think he's misunderstood more than anything. I mean, he's listen, we're all intense. We're coaches, and we're all intense, and some wear their intensity more than others. But he's got such a great human side to him, and like I said earlier, I was surprised it took this long for him to get his first head coaching opportunity.
What's the biggest message going into tonight's game for your group as you approach this team in this game?
Well, what I didn't like the other night was we played on our heels. I thought we really conceded way too much ice. And especially after the 2 games we played where I thought maybe we could build off it and play with a little bit more confidence and swagger. But like we've touched on, maybe it was a schedule, who knows. But we've got to get back to playing at a pace and a tempo and not playing on our heels. And when you're playing on your toes and trying to stay on top of people to take away time and space, you also have to be smart and protect the middle of the rink. So there is a balancing act and making great reads, but we've just got to slow people down more. Kind of similar to what we did against Philly and Edmonton. I thought we got away from that against Vegas.
All right, thank you, David.
Yeah.
David, I'm sorry. Just one more for me. With Anthony out, has there been more thought to perhaps recalling Daniil Gushin? He's leading the AHL in points, I believe.
Yeah, we've talked about a bunch of scenarios. So, this was unexpected, and we thought maybe Anthony may be back today. So, if it was a clear injury and he was going to miss extended time, something might have happened. I'm not saying it would have been Gush, but this was a little bit of an unpredictable situation. And the Cuda are playing today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.